Hello guys, hello everybody. I just want to talk to you about one topic today, which is all about fear. What is fear? Normally, it's just a feeling. It's a feeling that comes in, and whereby we feel like we can't do something, we cannot make it. What made me overcome that feeling of fear is just I had to observe. I have to observe the nature, or I have to observe how a behavior as a human being. I've seen like most people in the part of the world, in some countries, for example, they eat monkey. Some of us, they eat donkeys. Some, they eat dogs. Some, they even eat frogs, like in China. Then what happens, like a person who is located in the country where they don't eat frogs, when he sees the person eating a frog, he'll be like, oh. Then a person is located in the country where people eat monkeys. So when you see people eating the monkey and they be like, oh, it's like they want to vomit. Then I observed that and I came to understand, wow, the person who's eating the monkey is enjoying it. And on the other side also, that the person eating the frog, is for them is a meal. They are enjoying it. While on the other side, people might think that, oh, that's not good enough, is something bad. Then I came to understand that we can overcome fear in our mind. Fear is the state of the mind. So if we set up our mind, fear will not be there. And the fear I'm talking about is the fear of everything in our life aspect. Fear of failing, fear of looking for a job, fear of looking for money, fear of whatever. So whenever we engage in any activity, sometimes people are afraid to do stuff. We are afraid to say, I can't do it. People go from home to schools, they go from creche, then they go to primary school, high school, university. They complete their degrees, they still have that mentality of being scared. They're scared of not getting a job. They're scared of not getting employment. They're scared of not having money. They're scared of not buying cars. That feeling is always there every day. Take your time. Imagine that normally you are scared of eating a frog, and there is another person enjoying eating that frog. The person is exactly someone like you. The blood is the same. The morphology is the same. The only thing that's different is the mind state. So one way to overcome fear is by changing our mind state. And this is even especially in business environment. When you want to do business, for example, people finish their studies. They only believe that for them to survive, they need to go and work for somebody. They don't believe in their ideas. There's always a common saying, say that time is money. Time is money. But I say that ideas is money. Your thinking is money. Your thinking can change the world. But the only way to make that happen is when you overcome the feeling of fear. We are in Africa, especially in the learning environment, from universities, from everywhere. There's something that really comes to mind. I always say, in Africa, we do research, for example. You see people doing master studies, PhD. After their degree, they want to further their studies. They're doing the PhD, the master studies. And my concern is that how come being an African, living in Africa, where, for example, you have a village where people don't have access to clean water, people don't have electricity, and then we are doing research to find out how to get to the moon. I found it really funny. To me, to my conviction, I believe that normally research in Africa needs to solve African problems. Once you're there, then you can start thinking about another type of researches. In Africa, our research, for example, need to focus on how to provide clean water to the people, how to provide light to the people. In Europe, for example, if you go in Europe, in another part, in America, everywhere you go, 90% of the population got access to electricity, they have access to clean water, they got access to infrastructure, they got access to accommodation, they got houses where to live. Then if you go in Africa, from a country like Zimbabwe, Malawi, Rwanda, Uganda, Congo, Nigeria, Ghana, whatever, you said normally people still can't have access to clean water. They don't have access to education, proper education. They don't have access to energy. Then why are we taking the research in Africa to a level where we cannot even apply it? We have a lot of Africans, young Africans, completing their studies. All they're looking is about jobs. They want to be a worker. They want to get CV sent to the company, get employed, be promised to be paid $5,000 $2,000, and then they limit it there. They stop thinking further. I believe today in Africa we need to change that way. We need to overcome the fear. We spend 7-10 years at university without having an employment. I believe if you can spend another maybe 5 years in trying to make our ideas reality, that can bring us change in our own lives and also in the lives of our fellow Africans. Just I want to think with you in this regard. Normally in Africa we need to think about African projects that can solve African projects. How can I provide clean water to my people? How can I get water from the river to the village where people are? How can I provide healthy facilities for my people? How can I provide training facilities for my people? I think those are the kind of projects really I think young Africans need to start thinking about. And we need to overcome, as I said, that feeling that every time when we finish our degrees, we finish our masters, finish our PhD, we must go look for jobs. Why not transform ideas, what you've learned? For somebody to complete a master degree, you will go through a research. Before selecting a given topic, bear in mind that normally, after I complete a topic, that topic must help, must resolve a reality or a real problem that's happening in my community. I think this is the way we need to direct our research as African. Someone is doing a PhD. Don't go and just choose a topic which you think about going to the moon. No, kindly think about the topic normally, how I can find a solution for people who don't have access to clean water, to electricity, to health, to whatever. Let us think that way. Let us direct our thinking and especially the research activity of people who are at university in that way. Like, let's do research to solve African problems. This would be one of the best ways to move forward. And try also to overcome that feeling of fear. Stop being scared that if someone doesn't employ you, you won't survive. I promise you will. You will if you are confident of doing whatever you believe. Let us have a habit of thinking and try to transform our thinking into reality, into ideas that can work and solve problems. I'm sure this is the way forward. Thank you. See you soon. Again, we carry on. This just was an introduction to my new way of thinking and my new way of sharing ideas of your life. Sharp, sharp.